Well, hello again, everyone. I am Tim Kernan, alongside Mike Freshwater. This is Gamecast Radio Sports Talk. Thanks for joining us today. Mike, how we doing?
Hey, Tim, doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic.
Good.
I know that you just got done with a golf outing.
I did.
How'd that go today?
It's pretty chilly out there at times. It wasn't too awfully bad. We had a scramble out at Gray Wolf Golf Course out in the Trotwood, Englewood area. Originally Moss Creek course, I think, that Chichi Rodriguez had something to do with when they first built it.
Yep, he designed it.
He did. It closed for a couple years, got new ownership. It's they're building a little bit of a clubhouse out there, but I had myself, my son, Justin Winters, who is an Alder football alum, my friend Steve Weiss. We went out there and went minus 12 and didn't win. So,
boy, in those things you almost have to shoot like minus 18.
Yeah, I think 14 won it. They had two eagles on par fives. They chipped in two, supposedly. But we played well. We thought we played really well. We had our best probably would have been 14, which would have tied us. But it was fun. We had fun, and first time I played out there and really enjoyed it.
Well, and the weather cooperated for you.
Absolutely. By the time we got up there, it stopped raining. The sun actually came out, and it cooperated. We were really lucky to be able to get that in and not get wet.
Well, and speaking of Alter, Mike, you and I call the Alter football games. We called it last night. The Knights played Fenwick. Fenwick is part of the Greater Catholic League. They're a little south of town here. They came into the ball game at 4-4. The Knights were 5-3. Fenwick started off the season winning 4 straight, but then they lost 4 straight. So we really didn't know what to expect necessarily from them going in. I thought the Knights played very well last night. The offense did what it had to do. They made a couple of mistakes that seemed to be lingering errors, but the defense just played really well.
Defense dominated. Fenwick never came close to scoring, and that's a real real tip of the hat to the defense. They did fantastic, and Fenwick was missing their leading runner, their rusher was hurt, couldn't play, but the Knights were favored for sure going into that game, and really didn't disappoint ultimately in terms of the result. I probably could have won by a touchdown or more, but took care of business, and they're celebrated, that win last night, and now looking forward to the big rivalry game on Friday night against Chaminade-Julienne.
Yeah, they'll play CJ next week down at CJ, and you and I have been doing it together 5 years now, and we've already seen some classics in that ball game. Right. So, as you like to say, that one should be a slobber knocker.
Should be. I call it the Holy War. When Alter and CJ get together at the end of the season, Week 10, something everybody looks forward to on both sides, and this year is going to be no different. The stakes aren't what they have been in the past. Most likely Baden's going to win the league, although if McNick can upset them somehow next week and Alter wins, right?
Yeah.
There's the co-championship. But computer points, CJ's D3, Region 12, Alter's D4, Region 16. So either team, whoever wins, will get some solid computer points and a really good seeding for the tournament.
It'll be exciting to see. And if this is the first time that you've joined our show, we appreciate that one right off the bat. But a lot of what we talk about on here is about Ohio State and Notre Dame. And Mike, I thought I'd just jump right into Notre Dame, and being a Notre Dame fan, I'm extremely frustrated with this team.
Things went to hell in a handbasket really fast.
I mean, it is. I feel like I'm in Groundhog Day. I mean,
there's no doubt Sam Hardiman is one of the best looking dudes out there. I mean, you got that going for you. I mean,
well, he does have. Yeah, he probably doesn't have problems with the babes.
Oh my goodness, he's very popular with them. But it wasn't all that long ago we were talking about the Ohio State Notre Dame game and how epic that might be, and it was. But Notre Dame's kind of regressed since then. It didn't help them at all, even though they should have won. It hasn't helped them, and it seems like they've regressed.
They certainly have on offense. Their defense, I think their defense is playing well enough to win these games, but their offense is absolutely predictable. It is, when I watch, I didn't get to see much of the Louisville game, and frankly, I'm pretty happy about that. But when I watch their offense, it just seems to me that their opponents have about 15 guys on the field, and Notre Dame has 9. I just feel like they're going absolutely nowhere when they come out.
Yeah,
when they play offense.
They don't have
just
any
awful.
weapons that just kind of jump out at you off the TV screen when you're watching.
Yeah, they're
them.
very young.
They're young. They don't have a Marvin Harrison or a Brock Bowers or whatever his name is at Georgia. They don't have somebody like that, but they are young, and but it doesn't matter. Expectations at Notre Dame, Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia are always high, no matter what.
Yeah.
And there was so much put into that Ohio State game, and then the way they lost, I think, just must have taken the wind out of the sails because they have struggled ever since. And but the season's not over yet.
No,
they got some big games coming up, and they can get themselves back on the right track. But they're out. They're clearly out of the national championship picture. But
yeah, absolutely,
still playing for a nice bowl game and more and some good exposure.
Yeah, I don't like excuses, but they play USC tonight, and it's funny that you mentioned that. They do have a chance of immediately kind of making a statement. It's not like they have a weak opponent this week where if they win, you're like, who cares? They have a chance of winning tonight, beating USC, and feeling good about themselves and getting a great win.
I think USC might be a little bit overrated.
Yeah.
Their defense is not very good at all.
No.
And, Notre Dame, they have the motivational levels for them right now can't be much higher than they are right now. They've got to really want to get back on track, and that's going to be an interesting game. Everybody's going to be watching and watching Cadillac Williams and to see what he has. But I think Notre Dame has more than a solid chance. I don't know what the point spread in that haven't had a chance to look today.
Notre Dame was favored, but I think it moved back to even possibly.
Yeah, I think it's an even game, and I think Notre Dame has a chance, and it would be a great win for them.
Well, it was a great win for Louisville. I'm not going to take that away from them. They played very well. They absolutely had Notre Dame's number. Their defense played great. They actually ended Notre Dame's 30-game regular season ACC winning streak, if you can believe that, 30 straight. Tonight will be their 4th straight 7:30 game for Notre Dame. Again, it's an excuse, but that's tough on a team to play night games every week. But it is what it is. That's what the schedule is. Yeah. It's their 4th straight undefeated opponent. They'll finally get a bye next week.
Wow.
It's a big recruiting weekend at Notre Dame. They got a lot of players up there for this game, and they're going to have, you mentioned it a few moments ago, but they're going to have to find a way to kind of contend with Caleb Williams. You're not going to stop him, but you just can't let him go crazy back there.
Well, the best defense against a dude like that is not let him get on the field. And if Notre Dame can run the ball, short passing game, if they can possess the ball and run clock and score in a couple, on the end of a couple of those drives, that's probably how they're going to have to do it, because they will not be able to. I don't think they can win in a shootout with USC. They're going to have to do it by slowing the game down, playing with a nice, easy, almost deliberate tempo, and do what they can to keep Williams in that offense off the field.
And for crying out loud, the play calling has got to get better. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just abysmal. So, Mike, I thought that's enough on Notre Dame. We may touch on that a little bit later as well. But Ohio State already played today. They defeated Purdue 41-7. That was one of those, games where you think about the past, where Ohio State kind of lost some games over at Purdue, but it looks like they took care of business. Kyle McCord, 16-28 for 3 TDs. Harrison had 6 receptions, 105 yards with a TD, and Hayden had 11 carries, 76 yards for 1 TD.
So they're down 3 running backs. Yeah, they're down. They played Dallin Hayden a lot today, only because Henderson didn't play at all. Trainham got hurt, and Mayan, last name's totally escaping me, but they were down 3 running backs today. Their top 3 running backs, and they rushed for a little bit over 100 yards, but it wasn't. They need to be able to run the ball, especially the later it gets in the season here. And but a dominant win today. The defense was really dominant. I think Purdue had around 100 yards rushing and 125 yards passing. So a really good day again for the defense, and they seem to be the real deal. They keep proven themselves week in, week out, and McCord had a good day, as you mentioned, Marvin Harris and Cade Stover. And Ohio State went into that game the very definition of a trap game, as they try to not look too far ahead to next week against Penn State. And they've had some odd things happen over there over the years, and they heard about that all week this week. So you kind of had a feeling that was kind of going to be not an issue. I don't think they were going to look ahead. I don't think they were going to come in lackadaisical. I mean, I think they were prepared, focused, and ready for even the weather if it got bad. And they did take care of business there today. Nice win, 41-7, and now we can all start looking ahead and talking about next Saturday.
Yeah, they seem to be hitting their stride. Kyle McCord appears to be getting pretty comfortable back there, which is a great sign for Ohio State. And they're poised and in a position to make a great run here, Mike. You have to be happy being an Ohio State fan.
Got to get those running backs healthy, and the offensive line's seemingly playing better. So, like our chances next Saturday, but like I said, got to get those running backs healthy. You got to be able to run the ball. Period. Just dead stop, full stop. You got to be able to run the ball. If they can't run it, especially next week, I don't think they have much of a chance. And they're going to be tested. Penn State's front seven is one of the best in the country. It's really, really good, strong, fast, deep. So they're going to be tested next Saturday. They got to be able to run the ball.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one to watch next week, at least for us. Guys that aren't fans and have skin in the game, as you will. Sometimes those games are painful to watch if you're a big fan, but it's going to be exciting. Mike, I want to kind of stay in college football, but Colorado played Stanford last night.
Wow.
Opened up a 29-0 lead.
Right.
Ended up giving up that lead. Stanford tied it.
Unbelievable.
They went into 2 overtimes, and Stanford won on a field goal in that second overtime.
Yeah, what I found interesting about that whole scenario was, remember when Colorado started the season off with that big win against TCU. Deion says, "We coming." And talked about how they were ready. They were ready for the limelight right now. They were going to win now. There's no, And then after last night, we 3 years away. So we need 3 more years. So finally, he's admitting, that maybe what they put together is a little bit shaky. And they blew a 29-0 lead to the next to last place team in the Pac-12. They were 2-4 going into that.
Yeah, Stanford is
not good. And very, very humble pie there for Deion, Coach Prime, and the rest of the Buffaloes. What a comeback by Stanford, being down 29-0. That's crazy.
It really is. And I also wanted to ask you, did you by any chance see any of that? I know you mentioned something that he said, but did you see any of that press conference, Deion Sanders?
Just highlights, not the whole thing.
Well, I found one thing that he talked about was very interesting, but he said he had a discussion with the guys in the locker room about, do you love this game? Do you love the game the way I do? Do you want to put your heart and soul in this game? And I can kind of sympathize with that, Mike. You've been a coach. I've been a coach, and there are times when I have coached players where you don't know if these players want to be a part of the team and really do love the game that they're playing, or if they're just there for other reasons or to have fun, which is okay. But if you want to put a championship team together, they got to love the game, they got to love their teammates, and they got to love to compete.
I think the slippery slope there for him is that obviously he was very elite, not just in terms of his athletic ability, but in terms of what he's been talking about relative to desire, passion, attitude, and all that stuff. What the slippery slope is, if he tries to hold a lot of these 19, 20, and 21-year-old kids to the same level that he was at or once
you're absolutely right.
That's dangerous. I mean, you're not gonna find very many Deions, and there's a lot of great athletes, players who coached both at the college level and professionally, but couldn't handle it. They couldn't deal with it because they did just that. They tried to hold their players to expectations and to levels of that they played and that practiced, and they just couldn't, they couldn't deal with that those players weren't at that level all the time. And so I think it's a dangerous thing. Hopefully I'm sure he can control that and, see the difference between the two. But I honestly don't think he's going to be there that much longer. I mean, I just feel like he's going to move on to bigger, better things potentially. Is he there in 3 years? I don't know. But
it's a great point.
I just feel like sooner or later he's going to end up back in Tallahassee coaching the Florida State Seminoles before it's all said and done. But he's brought a lot of attention to the game, and that's good. But they got some humble pie last night for sure.
Yeah, you make a great point about the former players holding, when they become coaches, holding their players to that standard.
Yeah,
it is difficult, but I remember Lou Holtz, when he talked about the Notre Dame 1988 team, he always said that these players love to compete and they loved each other. And I think that is what's required to win at that level. And I think that's what Deion Sanders was kind of referring to last night, although I totally get your point. That is extremely valid.
And with football, you're talking about 30 or 40 dudes every week, right? I mean, 11 on offense, 11 on defense, 20 or more playing special teams. And to get all of those dudes to buy in and to do what he wants them to do at the level he wants them, to have the chemistry that he's talking about them needing, that's different. I mean, basketball, you're talking about 5, 8, 9, 10 guys, right? You're talking about, 40 or 50 dudes you got to get to be there. That's a whole nother challenge. And this is the first time he's really, been at this level. I obviously haven't had experience at Jackson State, but he's taken them about as far as I think they're going to be able to go this year. But he's drawn so much attention and gotten so much exposure. Their social media accounts are off the charts now. I think they trail only like Alabama and Ohio State and Georgia in terms of the number of subscribers and followers. So he's building something, and if he stays there, I do believe that in 2 or 3 years they will be in the playoffs. But does he stay there? That's my question. How long does he actually last? And we'll see. But it's been fun having him around for sure.
Yeah, it will be interesting, and if he can control that or find a way of dealing with players that maybe not play to that level that he does.
Yep.
I think he's already been successful. We'll see where it goes.
Yep, agreed.
So, Mike, some scores from today. We mentioned the Ohio State game, but Georgia was at Vanderbilt. They beat them 37-20. Michigan took care of business at Indiana. They started off a little sluggish in that one, but in the third quarter they pulled away from Indiana and ended up winning 52-7.
It's a 52-0 run. I think they got down 7-0, and it was 52-0.
Yeah,
Michigan's good, man.
They are good without a doubt. OSU at Purdue, we also talked about that one, 41-7, the Buckeyes, and Florida State was all over Syracuse, 41-3. Syracuse, they have some athletes on that team, but they're just not good. They are not a good football team. No. I watched most of that game, and they made so many mistakes. It was
basketball school.
And Arkansas was at Alabama. That one was close. Alabama came out of that one with a 24-21 win.
I honestly think right now, as much as it pains me to say this, I think Michigan's the best team in the country right this minute. Georgia gets a bye coming up, a legit bye, not playing Tennessee, Chattanooga or whatever like they usually do, but they have a legit bye coming up, which is going to help them. But Michigan looks to me to be as well-rounded of a team that's out there. So I mean, if I was voting, I would put them at number one right now. I think they are the best team in the country right now.
Can you judge them, though, fairly right now? Because they have not played anyone.
They have not been challenged. But Indiana, Ohio State played Indiana, obviously, opening day, and didn't dominate them like Michigan did today. It's a good question, but we'll find out soon enough. But just based on, let's just say the eye test, you watch them on TV, kind of look around at comparable scores and other games of opponents that they played. I mean, I don't see a weakness. I really don't. But
they're very solid, without a doubt.
Man, they are.
They will play Michigan State, I believe, next week, who is not that good this year.
No, they're struggling.
Usually that's a horribly. Test, but they should
they're
walk
really
through
bad.
that one.
Yeah, another route for the Wolverines.
Mike, we'll go on to pro football now. I wanted to talk a little bit about Brock Purdy. He, of course, was given the moniker Mr. Irrelevant because he was drafted last. The year that he came out, but right now he's the NFL's top-rated passer. And, I got to see him play a few times in college. I really wasn't that impressed, but he is 10 times the player he was in college.
It's crazy that
he's fantastic.
Yeah, and all these teams overlooked him. I mean, in fact, 49ers overlooked him. They drafted him, after they drafted, obviously, half a dozen other players, right? So it was funny about what happened with him there is had he not been drafted last and had been able to shop himself around as an undrafted free agent, he would have got a lot more money. But because he was drafted, there was terms and conditions. There's rules in place that say you can only get X amount of dollars. You can't. Undrafted free agents, they can kind of go out there and negotiate, and there's a really good chance he'd have gotten a lot more money had he been able to go around and do that as an undrafted free agent. But dude he's throwing the ball to guys that are wide open. He's confident as heck, coming off a terrible injury from last season. And of course, we're going to see him up close and personal on, I think it's Sunday, right? The Browns and 49ers play.
They do.
That'll be a blowout. But he's a crazy story, man, to go from Mr. Real Relevant to the NFL's top-rated passer and maybe the leading MVP candidate on the season so far.
Well, it doesn't hurt to be surrounded by great players, which he is, but you could say that about any good quarterback, honestly. So he is really playing at a high level.
He's not the biggest dude. He doesn't have the strongest arm, but obviously he's extremely smart. He knows that offense forward and backwards, and he's yet to have even an average day. I mean, he's been good every single weekend, really good every single weekend.
And those characteristics that you just said, who does that remind you?
A fifth-round draft pick, TB12, from Michigan is who it reminds me of.
Yeah, I was thinking of Joe Montana from the same team.
Yeah, but Brady was a fifth-round draft pick, and absolutely nobody expected
that's
anything
true.
out of him.
That similarity is more with Brady, certainly.
Yes, yeah.
Mike, Bengals. Of course, I'm a Bengals fan. You are, Brent. You did. You called that one. I watched that ball game, of course. I'm a Bengals fan, and I was so happy to see the Bengals look like they did the past couple of years.
They did.
Burrow was moving around. He was actually scrambling. He ran a few times.
Correct.
And he had a little velocity on his ball, which we did not see the first 3 weeks.
Yeah, his ability to move around and run for first downs in tough situations when he was getting flushed out of the pocket was a difference maker, and that was a difference maker for him last year. And to see him be able to do that again last week is a good sign for them. And then to be able to find Jamar Chase 13 times, which is just crazy to me. That's not targets, that's catches, right?
It is catches.
Just crazy. Maybe they are all the way back, and they'll go on a run here, but they better buckle their helmets because their schedule is about to get extremely difficult, and they'll be tested over the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, they do. They play the Seahawks at home tomorrow.
Right.
And, the Cardinals, I don't think are that good, although the Cardinals defeated Dallas a couple weeks ago.
I know. They did not look good against the Bengals, though. That's maybe showing their true colors.
Yeah, it was a big win nonetheless.
Yes.
They got Burrow going. Everything seemed to be clicking, certainly Burrow and Jamar Chase that you mentioned. But, boy, anytime you get Jamar Chase going, you got a chance to win the ball game.
If not the best, one of the top 2 or 3 best wide receivers in the NFL. And, of course, he's got that history with Joe Burrow, both of them coming from LSU, and that makes a big difference, I think, for them.
And that kind of reminds me, I think this is either Chase's 3rd or 4th year.
Third.
Third year.
Burrow's 3rd.
But that year, there was a lineman out of Oregon, and I can't remember his name, but he was drafted, I believe, top 3. The Bengals had one of those picks, and they decided to draft Jamar Chase instead of that lineman.
Good move.
And it was a good move, but don't you feel like Burrow was probably behind that, saying,
100%.
Don't pick a lineman. I want him.
100% behind that. I mean, if they weren't already doing it, he'd certainly lit a fire under that situation, because anytime you can get a quarterback and a wide receiver at the pro level together that had played together in college for a couple of years, to me, that's invaluable.
It sure is, especially when they're that talented.
They were good right from the beginning. So, yeah, good move on their part, and Chase is elite.
Although it still shocks me that the Bengals are still struggling.
Can't run the ball
on the offensive line. Yeah. No, they did have a little success last week against the Cardinals with Joe Mixon running, but I think Joe he's on the latter part of his career, I would believe. I think the Bengals definitely need to think about drafting a running back.
Mm-hmm. Don't disagree.
Now we'll move on to the Browns, Mike. They had a bye last week, and as you mentioned a couple minutes ago, they take on San Fran, which is a tall task.
Yeah,
they are at home, though.
That line opened at 3.5. I think the Niners favored in Cleveland, under the assumption that Deshaun Watson was going to play. Then sooner or later, one thing leads to another, and he's not playing. It goes from 3.5 to 4.5 to 5.5, and then they lose their starting right guard or left guard, Joe Batoino, however you pronounce his name, is now out for the game. And Njoku is questionable, the tight end. Obviously, they've already lost Nick Chubb. They've already lost their left tackle. So it went to 10.5. It went from 3.5 to 10.5 in about 4 days. I jumped on it when it was 5.5. I made my biggest bet of the year on the 49ers when it was 5.5. I just feel like I don't think the Browns will score. P.J. Walker's playing quarterback. He won't be as bad as DTR was last week, or their last game. They had a bye last week. But they may not score a touchdown. They might kick a field goal or two, but let's just say for the sake of argument, they score 6 points. Well, San Francisco is going to roll up for 3 or 4 touchdowns, 4 or 5. Now, the Browns' defense is good. They're good. And the weather's probably not going to be great. But we talked about Michigan just a minute ago as far as how good they are and well-rounded and well-balanced. The 49ers are right there with them in terms of the teams in the NFL. I mean, they're hands down the best team in the NFL. They're going to rout Cleveland on Sunday. I have no doubt about that.
Well, and I'm not a Browns fan, obviously, and but when you look at that team, it's a shame. It really is a shame for the Browns organization and for fans like you, in what has happened to them this year. They were a really good team until they just got killed with injuries.
The Nick Chubb thing sent them spiraling downwards. That was terrible.
They were a team to reckon with.
Well, absolutely they were. And once he got hurt, though, it's been nothing but downhill.
Yeah, they've
had 4 major injuries to 2 tackles, the maybe the best running back in the league, and their $200 million quarterback. I mean, who recovers from that?
It's tough. Yeah, losing Chubb now.
Start of the game, though, right? I mean, it's just part of the game, and if you're lucky and you stay relatively injury free, you're going to have a good season. If you run into a rash, I mean, if Burrow gets hurt, goes down, the Bengals are done.
It's over.
They're done, and you can say that about most of the teams in the NFL, and you just got to stay healthy with your really, really good players and hope that injuries happen around them and not, all at once to your 4 or 5 best players, especially on the one side of the ball.
Well, and the NFL is without a doubt a quarterback-driven league, and if your quarterback goes down, you're in deep trouble.
Yep.
But it also goes back to college, Mike. If you don't have depth, you're in trouble, and I think that's where Notre Dame has suffered a lot in the past 10 years or so. I think Notre Dame has had, maybe a first-string team that could play with anybody, but if anybody gets injured or goes down, the level of play just fell off. So far, I think Marcus Freeman has done a good job of bringing in talent and creating depth. Boy, but it's that next step that next hurdle that Notre Dame will have to get over. But I digress.
Yeah, I know. Gotta let it go a little bit then.
All right, Mike, I got something new I want to try with you. This is what I want to call yes, no, maybe. I'm going to ask you a couple questions. I'll probably answer them myself. And you did kind of dip your toe into this a little bit, which I was kind of chuckling inside when you were talking about it. But first question I want to ask you is, Deion Sanders will be the head coach at Colorado next season.
Oh,
yes,
next season, yes.
No, maybe.
Yeah, next season's yes. 3 years from now, big maybe. But yes, for next year, yes.
I'm also going to say yes, although I think he's going to get teams reaching out to him. But I think for his sake, I think he would be wise to stay there for a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you got to have openings pop up that are attractive enough for him to want to leave there, right? Which means obviously a big-time top 10 or 15 Power 5. I don't know if he's bound for the NFL ever as a coach, potentially. But, yeah, he'll be there I think he's going to be there 2 more years, and then I think that third year is definitely going to be, well, what would be his going into his 4th year. After 3 years, I think is where he's going to be probably looking at making a move.
My next question, Mike. Notre Dame will be in a New Year's Six Bowl this season.
No. I mean, if the answer is yes, then they have to win out, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Given what's happened so far, just based on so far, I'm saying no. They win the night, turns into a maybe.
I agree with you. I'm going to have to say no. I think there's just too many hurdles left. That I think they needed to be a one-loss team right now for me to say yes in that position, right. But they're not. So I'm going to have to go no. My heart wants to say yes, but I'm going to have to agree with you on that one. Next question, Shedeur Sanders will be an NFL quarterback.
Yes. Firm yes. Yes. He's so good.
I totally agree.
Athletic, smart. Apparently during the offseason he did some training with Tom Brady. He's going to have every benefit of everything that he wants or needs to help him develop is going to be at his fingertips. He looks really good now. And what is he? Is he a sophomore by grade?
I think he is sophomore.
So still very young, and I say yes, first-round draft pick.
I agree. I think someone will definitely give him a chance. And they always talk about these quarterbacks who can run and throw the football, which
right.
he can certainly do.
Yeah.
But I think he's more of a drop back player, but he just looks so comfortable back there.
He's got a good arm. He's got a great arm. He's 6'3". So he's got the size. Seems very, very intelligent. Really, really high football IQ.
Yeah.
Like you said, he's composed. I think he's a no-brainer. I think that, in fact, I think he'll be a first-round draft pick.
Yeah, I like him.
When his time comes.
I think he's got those intangibles that you want in a quarterback.
I mean, they draft
very
4 or 5
confident.
quarterbacks every year in the first round anyways,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's like they're just desperately seeking a quarterback. I mean, it's some of these guys that they pick up and draft high like that are just, you're like, what are we doing here, right? They're just searching. I mean, Trey Lance, how long did he last in San Francisco, for gosh sakes? And Jordan Love's just not getting his chance, and you can go on and on and on, and he's every bit as good as all those guys. And so right now, I think I'm firmly behind that.
Do you think
that
he'll
prediction.
go early?
I think he's a first-round draft pick.
Right now?
No, I don't know if he would be if he was eligible this year, but I think when he's ready, he will be.
Okay.
Yes, my opinion.
You also kind of veered into this a little bit, Mike, but the Cincinnati Bengals will make the playoffs this year.
Maybe. That's a maybe. I think every week, was a big game for them right now, given how slow they started.
Yeah.
And they really can't afford to not just lose, but they can't, for sure can't afford to lose any more divisional games.
Yeah.
And so right now, I mean, if you ask me in 5 weeks, might be a different answer, or you might have a different answer yourself. But I'm going maybe. It's not yes or no. It's a maybe.
I'll go with maybe as well. I'm definitely not willing right now to say yes because I loved what I saw last week, but I need to see it again.
Yeah, consider the competition. I mean, going into the season, Arizona was supposed to be the worst team in the league. They had a surprising win early, but do not be surprised if at the end of the season they own the number 1 draft pick because they're not very good. New coaching staff, maybe the youngest head coach in the league, and a whole bunch of young assistants kind of finding their way. And I think by the end of the season, they're going to be at the bottom of the pile. And so don't get too, not you, but, people shouldn't get too excited about beating them because they're not very good. But it's a step in the right direction for the Bengals, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. Next one, Ohio State is a top 4 team in the country, regardless of their record.
Right.
Ohio State is a top 4 team in the country.
Yeah. If you'd asked me this yesterday, I would have said no, but you're asking me today, and I'm going to say yes, but it's a shaky yes. I like Michigan, Georgia, and I don't know who's third. Florida State.
Yeah, there's a handful still up there.
But I'm going to go with a shaky yes. Can I do shaky yes?
That was not one of the options.
Can I do a yes in lowercase letters?
I would have said a couple of weeks ago no, yes. But I'm going to say yes now because, and here's the reason why. Because Ohio State has taken care of business.
Yeah, and
there was no letdown.
Yeah, right.
They went over to Notre Dame, did what they had to do. They didn't play that great that night. Maybe give Notre Dame a little bit of credit for that. But they did what they had to do to win the game. They won the game, and they came back the following weeks, didn't fall off, still played well, took care of business today. So I am going to say yes right now that they are.
I think their defense is 100% firm yes, top 4 in the country. The offense still, the jury's still out on whether or not they can run the ball consistently against a good defense. And, once they prove that, we'll all be sitting here going, yes. I watch Pat McAfee's show, a little bit of it every day, and there's a segment on there where Bobby Carpenter, who has his own podcast or TV radio talk show, the former Ohio State linebacker from Lancaster, Ohio, who played for the Cowboys, and he swears he's being as impartial as he possibly can be when he does his top 5. I think he does top 5. In the last couple of weeks, I've watched it. I don't know how long he's had them there, but he's had Ohio State at number 1, and he does it with a straight face. So I mean, I and they question him a little bit. You got AJ Hawk sitting there with Pat McAfee. But he doesn't waver, and so he knows way more about them, and than I do. So I'm going to go yes, but it's not a real confident yes.
All right, final one, Mike. Nick Saban will still be the coach at Alabama 3 years from now.
I see absolutely no let up in him. I don't think the season's going to go that south that it's going to piss him off to the point where he's just going to walk away. So you're asking me, will he be there 3 seasons from now? 1, 2, 3. Yes. Yes. Now, he's got to be winding it down sooner or later, doesn't he? I mean, but I've seen him, again, on Pat McAfee's on there every week with Pat because they're both West Virginia guys. And he openly says that he has no intentions, no plans. He loves what he's doing. He's passionate about it, taking it 1 year at a time. But, yes, he will be there in 3 years.
I think he will be too, but I think it's less than 5.
Question. It's a great question. I mean, he's going to age out sooner or later, right?
Yeah, there's some things that he's done in his personal life that leads me to believe that maybe he's getting ready for that after football life.
These guys that hang on like that for so long and don't want to give it up. Pete Carroll, how old's he? He's freaking 70 something.
Yeah.
Although he looks and acts a lot younger. These guys, they can't walk away from, I guess it's the money, the stature, it's the authority, the power, the spirit of competition, because it's a lot of freaking work, especially at the college level where you're recruiting. Now Saban's got a multitude of assistants that do probably most of everything for him. He's probably got that pretty well figured out. And these guys, Bill Belichick, that linger and hold on for so long at their ages, it blows me away. I can't imagine it. But they're getting paid well and they love it. I guess it's not physically demanding, or I guess they can control that somewhat. But
you have amazing. To love it because it's such a grind. You have to love it.
Yeah, I mean it's I agree 100%. I didn't love my job that much. I don't know if you loved your job. Are you going to do your job till you're 75?
No.
Yes, or maybe.
I could do this.
Tim, yes, no, or maybe.
I could do this till I was 75.
This is not your livelihood, though, and
no,
that's their livelihoods, and I know it's amazing. I mean, it
never ends, especially for a college coach. It never ends.
Yeah,
you always have to recruit.
Yes,
and
especially for a college coach.
Yeah, it's tough. It's amazing what Saban has done at Alabama. And
greatest coach of all time.
They started off slow this year, but they seem to be having going in the right direction.
They're going to be there at the end. They're going to be in the conversation at the end. They're obviously going to play Georgia and most likely in the SEC championship.
Yeah, that'll decide it.
Yeah, and then if they win that, I mean, damn it, you got Georgia and Alabama locked for the Final Four, and everybody else fighting over the other two. SEC so damn overrated.
I'm not a believer in Georgia yet. I
think they've got although their schedule is very favorable the rest of the way.
They play a high school schedule.
They absolutely have a crazy easy schedule the rest of the way until the SEC championship game. But they're gonna be in the. I mean, if they win out regular season and lose to Alabama, they're probably still in the freaking playoffs.
Yeah, agreed. All right, Mike, it's time for helmet stickers. And we do this with college football, obviously. I'm going to go with Jaden Daniels of LSU. He had a gutsy performance in their game on the road against Missouri. They won 49-39. Daniels totaled 389 all-purpose yards, 4 total touchdowns while pulling off the come-from-behind win. So for the season, he has 1,969 yards, 19 TDs, 2 interceptions, and a 90.1 quarterback rating. So I'm going to give him my helmet sticker for last week.
Yeah, I'm going to go down south to North Carolina. The Tar Heels are 5-0, ranked 14th coming into today. Routed 4-2 Syracuse team last week, 40-7. They have a quarterback named Drake May, who ESPN's ESPN's Dan Orlovsky says potentially the first quarterback taken. I don't know if if that means he's thinking that Cadillac Williams is not going to be in the draft this year, but he was 33 for 47 for 442 yards, averaging 10 yards per pass completions, and for 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. How about that?
That's
400.
Impressive.
Yeah, that's a crazy stat line. And he is the number one draft pick for somebody next year, quarterback wise. But
yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he goes. I know there were thoughts that he would return and play another season in college, but
wow.
I guess it depends on how much money he's making in NIL.
Well, that's true. North Carolina probably has a little bit to offer down there, but they're creeping up. Our defense is a little suspect, but they're right in the thick of things down there in the ACC.
Yeah, that's another team that Notre Dame has to play that I'm not so sure, at least right now, that they can win that one. But, Mike, as far as the picks go, you smoked me last week.
Absolutely.
I did not do well. Let's see. Pro, you went 4-1 last week in the pros. I went 2-3. So I'm still a little bit ahead of you for the season. I'm 10-7. You are 9-8. And then college, College, you went 3-2. I went 2-3, and you are a game up on me. You are 8-7, and I'm 7-8.
Wow, how about that? Pretty close, both of them.
So yeah, I am beating you in the pro ranks, and you are beating me in the college. So
somebody needs to make a move here.
Yeah, we're going to make our picks real quick before we wrap up today.
Let's do it.
Let me get caught up here on. All right, first let's do the pros, the professional ranks. We got the Seahawks at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's -3.
Wow, that basically is the home field advantage, right?
Yep.
I like Seattle. I've watched them on TV a couple times. I think they're really good. I think the quarterbacks come back. Their defense looks pretty darn good. I don't know if last week was a mirage or not for the Bengals. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and take Seattle in that one and an upset in Cincinnati.
All right. I am, of course, going to go with the Bengals. I think the Bengals are back, baby. They're going to win that one.
That's going to be a hard-fought game. It's going to be a hard-fought game. And trust me, Pete Carroll is not going to allow Jamar Chase to catch the ball 13 times tomorrow. I bet you $100 on that right now.
Well, I think this is a pivotal. I really do think this is a pivotal game for the Bengals. I think tomorrow we're going to know, are the Bengals, is the arrow pointing up or is it pointing down?
And we keep saying that, but oh, by the way, the rest of the AFC North isn't running away with it, right?
So that's a great point.
Right. So if the Bengals lose and everybody else loses, we're all still in the same boat.
However, the Bengals have a couple of losses already in the
division,
the conference, so that hurts.
Yeah, it does hurt. Yeah,
or the division.
The division.
Yeah. Next game, we talked a little bit about this one earlier. San Fran at Cleveland. San Fran, at least according to the line I saw, is -9.5.
Yeah, it's 10.5 now, and it's not even worthy of conversation.
I think
we're both going to take the 49ers.
Yep, we're both going 49ers there. Yep. Baltimore at Tennessee. Baltimore is -4.5.
Yeah, at Tennessee. Tennessee's up and down. The Browns absolutely just throttled them a couple weeks ago, and then they come back and beat the Bengals.
Handily.
Very strange team, but I think the Ravens are still the best team in the AFC North, and I'll be surprised if they don't win that game tomorrow.
As much as I hate to pick Baltimore, I'm going to have to go with you on that one, Mike. Right. So I'll go with Baltimore -4.5. Carolina at Miami. Miami is a 13.5 point
That's
favorite.
Another one probably not worthy of much conversation. Carolina's not that good. Miami is just so good offensively at home in Miami in the heat. It's the Dolphins all day long.
Yeah, I think Miami will win that one by 30.
Yeah, they might.
So we'll both go with Miami in that one. Detroit at Tampa Bay. This is a tough one. Detroit is favored by 3.
Really weird. Tampa Bay's 3-1 and having a good season, kind of like flying below the radar, in terms of some of the better teams that they're talking about in the NFC. But Lions look really, really good. They're getting a lot of respect, a lot of attention.
I really like their coach.
I'm betting on my boy Baker Mayfield. I'm going to take Tampa Bay in a close game down there in the heat in Tampa. It is in Tampa, right?
It is at Tampa, yes.
Yeah, I think that's going to be hot down there, and Baker's going to rise to the occasion, and Buccaneers are going to raise more eyebrows tomorrow and beat the Lions. That's my prediction.
Just for fun, I'm going to pick Detroit, just because I want Detroit to win that game. I want Detroit to be good. They have been bad for so long.
I would love to see. This is my dream before I die. Detroit and Cleveland in the Super Bowl. Would that not be absolutely?
That would be fantastic.
It would be. All those United Auto Workers, the steel workers, and boatyard dudes coming to the Super Bowl.
Do you remember Tampa Bay's old stadium? Chris Berman used to call it the Sombrero.
Yes.
That was just fantastic stuff. I miss Chris Berman. Yes. Final game in the pro ranks, Mike. Dallas, 2.5 point favorite at the LA Chargers.
Ooh. Dallas, man, they're
struggling,
such
but
an enigma.
They are,
and that's a big word for me. I had looked that up before I came over here. Man, I got to go with the UD guy, Brandon Staley, the head coach of the Chargers, and at home again. I'm going to go with the Chargers. I think they've been up and down. They're they've got something to prove too tomorrow. And I think Chargers upset or win against Dallas.
I'm going to go with Dallas just because they got hammered last week by San Fran.
Hammered.
And they need to rebound.
Yeah, embarrassed.
And I think they're going to come out.
Yeah, I don't totally disagree with you on that. Yeah, but I'm gonna stick with my pick.
All right, so we have those picks. Mike goes with the Seahawks. I go with Cincinnati. We both pick San Fran over Cleveland. We both pick Baltimore over Tennessee. Both pick Miami over Carolina. I went with Detroit over Tampa Bay. Mike went with Tampa Bay, and I went with Dallas, and Mike went with the Chargers. So, Mike, that leads us to our college picks. And I have 4 picked out. These are games. Well, one game has already started, but we probably don't know what's going on in that one. So we're going to pick the Washington versus Oregon game, the USC at Notre Dame, North Carolina at Miami, Florida. And this is intriguing to me because I kind of want to see if Louisville is the real deal here. But Louisville is at Pitt. Not that Pitt is, a top 15 team or whatever. But that I have Louisville on upset alert in that one. But anyways, we got first one is Washington at Oregon. That one has started. It's going on right now, but we don't know the score in that.
No, I have no idea what's going on there. And the Pac-12 is really good this year. In fact, I was looking at their standings. When was it? Yesterday or last night? I mean, they're literally like 8 or 9 of their teams are ranked.
Yeah, they're having a great year.
It's insane to think they're not even going to exist
I know.
in 2 years.
It's terrible.
But I'm going to go with the Ducks. Pick Oregon in that game. Like their offense.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Oregon as well. I think at home they are just so tough to beat out there.
Yep.
And Bo Nix is having a great season. And I'm just not a big believer in Washington, so I'm going to go with Oregon as well. So we're both on Oregon. This is number 10 USC at number 21 Notre Dame. That one starts at 7:30. I'm going to let you pick that one first.
I'm going to, I still think Notre Dame's got something big in them. This is a perfect opportunity for them. They've got to be really motivated and chomping at the bit to prove that they're better than what they've showed last couple weeks especially. So I don't know what the point spread is in that game.
I think it's a pick 'em.
Okay, so I'm going to pick Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame has a chance, and they upset USC and shows the country that there's more to college football than just playing offense.
Yeah. I am not going to officially put any money on this one.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't either.
I'm going to pick Notre Dame just because I have to. But I agree. I'm hoping that the players are disgusted with the way the last couple of weeks have gone, and I hope they come out motivated. This is a historical rivalry. They do not like each other. Notre Dame is at home. And I think they really have a lot to play for tonight, and hopefully they come out ready to go. But I think Notre Dame can definitely win that one. I don't think USC's defense is really that good, and I think Notre Dame's defense is good enough to hold USC to a proper point total. But the key is Notre Dame's got to score. In the last couple of weeks, they just have not played well.
They are due.
Yeah, agreed. Third game, number 12, North Carolina versus number 25, Miami. Miami had that horrible loss last week to Georgia Tech where they fumbled.
Well, and Georgia Tech was coming off of a loss to Bowling Green. So the fact that game was even close is not a good sign for Miami. And I just talked about Drake May and North Carolina and how they're on a roll and how good he is and blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, I'd be talking out of both sides of my mouth if I went against them in this pick. And so I'm going to take North Carolina, stay on a roll, and Mac Brown to have those Tar Heels slowly but surely moving up the rankings.
I'm going to go with Miami. I think that they want to reconcile, if you will, after that debacle last week.
That was tough, man.
I think they're going to come out. They're always tough at home with these top 25 games. So I'm gonna go with Miami. Yeah, that'll be a fun one to watch, even if you don't watch the whole thing. Just kind of going back and forth and checking in on that one. And we talked a little bit about this one. I have Louisville on upset alert here, Mike. Number 14 Louisville defeated Notre Dame last week, 33-20 at home. That was a huge game for them. I think they're going to have a letdown. I think Pitt's up for this one. That one starts at 6:30. I'm going to go with Pitt.
I really like Jeff Brom, and when they brought him back, when they brought him back to Louisville from Purdue, I thought that was a great move, and he's proven his abilities with them. I think he keeps them going, and I think they probably win pretty easily against Pitt.
Okay, Mike's going with Louisville. So that'll be interesting to see how Bob Berry. That's right. There are a bunch of other games, Mike, but I thought that those were the most interesting.
Yeah, those are all good ones.
Yeah, these are really great ball games. They're top 25 games, and once these games are completed, there's going to be a lot of shakeup, I think, in that top 25, and it's starting to shake a little bit loose. We're starting to find out who the really good teams are.
Yeah, we know that. I think the top 4 or 5 teams already won today. So yeah, you're right. Towards the middle of the pack, top 25-ish, I think there's going to be a shakeup, and there's a lot of parity. I think the draft portal NIL has kind of brought a little bit of parity to the game, and you get to see teams like North Carolina move up the rankings if they win tonight, and a few teams that we haven't talked about a lot lately. Louisville, another one, are making a splash, and it's all good. It's good for college football, and we love it.
Yeah, and I'll be interested too to see Pennick of Washington play against Oregon. It'll be fun to see how he performed. He's been fantastic so far.
Yeah, and is the Pac-12 really that good? I mean, I know they had a good pre-conference season and all that, but is that league really that good? I think we're going to find out the next 3 or 4 or 5 weeks.
We absolutely will. Mike, enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and thanks to you folks for joining us today. Do us a favor on your way out. Like this video and subscribe to us. We're here usually every Saturday talking sports, and glad to have you aboard. So enjoy the games tonight. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time on Gamecast Radio Sports Talk.
So long, everybody.